Hello, welcome to our Connecting with Code Python programming camp. This camp is meant to be an introduction for people with interest in coding. We do this camp every year. This year we're doing the idea of logic games. So we're going to be doing a bunch of different projects. You can see that we do this camp in Scratch for people that are very new to coding. And then we do it in Python for people that have got a little bit more coding experience. You can find all of our camps, by the way, just at this Connecting with Code /camp. You can see that we put every year up here. So this is going to be our first video in 2024. We're going to be building a game called Coin Collector. All of these projects, by the way, are made by me, Dave Fisher. I'm at Rolls-Holman Institute of Technology, and Bob Schaefer. He's at Mission College. We do the videos for Scratch together, but the Python ones I just kind of knock out by myself. There's actually a total of 5 games. I don't know if I'm going to make all of these in Python or not. I mean, I have made them. I just don't know if I'm going to make videos. And the reason is that we try to do 5 games in Scratch because Scratch goes pretty well, right? So you can go see the Scratch videos in there. But Python takes significantly longer. So one of these games in Python is really 3 times as long as any of the others. So I'll probably only do 2 games in Python, maybe 3. But there's no real need for me to do 5 videos in Python because it does take quite a bit more whenever you're doing the low-level work in Python. Difference between Python and Scratch. Scratch is a block-based programming language. They make doing these graphic programs very easy, right? Just drag and drop and you go. Python is a much more robust program. The number of things you can do is a billion X fold more stuff in Python than Scratch. The downside of that is with greater flexibility and greater freedom what you can do, it is actually kind of harder to do it in Python than in Scratch. You would think it's like, it's going to be easier in Python. Well, no, it's actually a fair amount harder to do the same project that Scratch can do in Python. But it's a good way to introduce you to Python by doing the same things that Scratch can do. So let's kind of go in and look at what we're going to be building. I'll just go ahead and show a solution here. This solution is using a program called Replit, which I don't recommend you use, but I thought I would show it just because it's a way where you can just click on a link and then you can see the Python code, and then as soon as the program is ready, you can run it. Replit is a very impressive program. It lets you do actual factual graphical Python programs without installing anything, which is really great. You just hit the play button and it goes. That sounds wonderful. The problem is that by being a web-based thing, there's lag in systems and things like that. It looks like right now it's not even displaying, right? Oh, there it goes. You can also see that it's kind of like a different screen size. And so it's kind of hard to see what's going on here. So the idea of this game is that it's called Coin Collector. You know what? I'm going to stop showing it in Replit. So you can use that link to see it, but man, that's not how I do it. I like to do it in PyCharm. So local on my computer, you can see that it just loads right up here. So we're also going to be teaching you how to get this set up in PyCharm. The hardest part of this camp is really the first day of just trying to get things set up to where you can do it. Let's talk about this particular project. So once we get our code set up, what we're doing is we're making a simple coin collecting game. So you need to collect as many coins as what the target has. So you can see that my target here is, oops, I've gone over, right? So the only way to go back is to catch a robber. So it takes me back to 0. And now I can start collecting coins again. When you hit your target, which will probably take quite a while because I've got it up at $1.15, it will say that you were victorious. So I'm going to dodge the pennies here. Let's see if I can come up with a good strategy. I'm at 80 cents. I'll just collect them all for a while. 90 cents. That's going to do it. 115. So I hit my target there. Ooh, my game didn't mark me as a winner. We'll make sure ours works better than that. But when you win, it should say you won. So I ran a version there that wasn't a very good version. All right, so that's the goal. We did that in Scratch as well for the younger audience. And now we're going to show you how to do it in Python. The hardest part is getting yourself set up. I'm just going to tell you what needs to happen in getting yourself set up. You're going to need to download some starter code from us. And so we're going to go through how do you get that starter code. Once you've got the code on your computer, that's actually the easy part, then you have to figure out, how do I want to run it? We're going to show you how to use a program called PyCharm to open up that code and then run the Python program on your computer using PyCharm. You cannot do this from a Chromebook. It will have to be an actual regular laptop, either like a Windows computer or a Mac or a Linux computer, something like that. But it won't work. The way I'm showing you won't work on a Chromebook. Once you've got PyCharm installed, you're also going to need to install a library called Replit Play. And so this Replit Play library is going to have a lot of the methods that we're going to be using to kind of make these graphical games. So there's 3 steps. Getting the code, which is pretty easy. Installing a program, which isn't too bad. And then using that program to run the code. That's where a little bit more confusion comes in. All right, so let's quit talking about it and start doing it. The first thing you want to do is you want to get the starting code. This URL goes to a website called GitHub. This is a very popular site for organizing code. On GitHub, all I want you to do is I just want you to download this zip file. We're not going to go into Git cloning or anything like that. Just download the zip file. You can put it wherever you would like on your computer. You can organize it as deep as you would like, right? So this is going to be like summer 2024. The zip file is called CWC2024 videos main. Once you've got the file, you're probably on Windows, so you'll open it up in Windows Finder. You'll just double click on it, and then it will expand and show you the files. The files that you should see just in Windows Explorer have all the solutions are in here, so all 5 solutions are in here, and then the starting code for all 5 as well. So even if we don't do the later ones, you can go look at the solutions in there. All right, so that's great. It's on your computer. I mean, this solution is a .py file, main.py. If I could run that file, I would see the game on my computer, which is kind of neat. You can see there's a ton of images in here as well. Is thief misspelled there? That's okay. And so what I want to do is I want to get a program that can run it. The program that I'm going to encourage you to use is a program called PyCharm. Pi for Python, Charm, just because their company does all kinds of charm things, right? And so you can do a Google search for PyCharm download. Technically, the version we're getting is what's called the Community Edition, and you can search and find it. I've also just put the link here to where you can just click on the link. You can see that there's a professional version where you get a free 30-day trial, and then there's also a community version which is free and open source. We don't need any professional features, and so we want the one that is the Community Edition. So I'm just going to go and click on download here. And I'll just pretend like I'm installing it for the first time. I know that I've already got it and mine's all set up, but I want to try to replicate what you're likely to have to do of installing it. So I'm using Chrome here, and it's installing this program. It's about half a gig big, depending on your internet speeds. That might go at a very different pace, but mine's ready to go. Once you have it, you're going to have to install it. I'm on a Mac here, so the way I install programs is probably different than you. But I'm going to go ahead and bring it in here and then launch it. And so I blew away my old version just so I can get this new version. All right, so is this the one from right now? Looks like it's not. Let me try that again. So let me bring it over to here. Oh, it's asking me, do I want to replace it? Sure, I'll replace it. Operation can't be completed because it's in use. That makes sense. Let me close it, and then I'll try it again. Replace it. So it's going to put on this new version. So I've blown away my old version. I hope you all appreciate that I'm blowing away my old version for you. And then I'm going to launch this new version, PyCharm CE, which was downloaded today. Looks like it says that it was created a few days ago. That's fine. All right, so I'm going to launch it. And so this is the first time on my Mac. Your Windows machine will look different. It'll take it a little bit to open. Who knows how long it'll take to open for you. But it should eventually open. Mine opened to a weird spot. Mine opened remembering my old version of PyCharm. That was kind of too bad. So let's see if I can get it to look more like what you probably see. You probably see a screen that looks like this, but with no previous projects. And so you probably see a screen that looks more like this, but with no previous projects. And what you want to do is you just want to open that thing you downloaded. So you can just click on open. Then you have to remember where you put it. So I navigated mine like super deep, I think, connecting with code. Here it is. CWC2024 videos main. I trust this project. Yeah, I trust you totally. That trust question is it'll ask you, it's possible when you open something on your computer for it to have viruses and things, right? But you can trust me. It's good. Looks like I've got some error here that you won't see, so I'll just ignore that. Cool. And so it brought in the code, which is great. It might have you configure your interpreter as well. And so there's a couple things here where you might have to dig for a little bit to try to get your interpreter configured. You might just have to click on the buttons in PyCharm and see if you can find a way to make it work. When I'm sitting behind you, I can help with whatever you get faced with. But hopefully you're able to navigate in and see about running something. That takes care of the second step, downloading the program. Then the third step is going to be a little harder. We've opened the code, or at least I have. Hopefully you were able to. But to run it, you're going to have to do one more thing. You're going to have to install this replit play library. So let's try to run it. I'll tell you what, we'll run a solution here. So the solution main.py, mine's kind of like black on white. I don't know what's going on with that. And so yours is probably black on black. And so if I run it, mine might work. And the way you run it is you open up, I'm just running solution to coin collector. I clicked on main.py here. To run it, you just right click where there's code, and then you say run. If you don't have a run button, it'll say like configure interpreter or something like that. And hopefully PyCharm will guide you through the steps of getting interpreter. Mine ran just fine because I've installed this replit play library. Let me go back. I'm going to go into preferences, and I'm going to remove replit play because this is probably what you're seeing. So I'm going to take this replit play thing and remove it. And so probably when you tried to right click in here and run it, it probably said something like this: no module named play is what I hope that you got. So you need to fix that. So you need to install replit play. The way it works is you need to go into preferences. On my Mac, it's under PyCharm preferences. For you, it's under, I think, file, and then settings, and then preferences. But either way, make sure you get open the PyCharm preferences. Once you've got the preferences open, you can go to Project Interpreter. If you don't have that interpreter, here's where it would yell at you about that as well. So you've actually already been in this area. And then you can see a list of all the packages you've got installed. I have hundreds of packages. You probably have like a much smaller list. And so I'm going to add another package. I'm going to add the package, I'm just typing here, replit-play. And I'm going to check this to install it everywhere. So I'm just going to go ahead and install this package. And so mine says package installed successfully. So I'm going to hit close, OK. And then you can right click in here and you can run it again. To be perfectly honest, if you can't get it to run, I would recommend that you stop and then you kick it until you can get it to run. Because if you try to move forwards without this one running, it's not going to be very fun, right? Because you have to be able to run on your computer a replit play program. So kick it as long as you need until you get that working. Then as soon as you get it working, the beauty part is you're good to go for the rest of this camp, right? Like tons of stuff you can do as soon as you get it working. So that's the hardest part of this camp and where I lose the most people in these videos. But hopefully you can get it to where you can run it. All right, let's see if we can build this thing. So obviously from the solution, you can see that there's a lot of things going on. I'm just going to right click and run it again here. You can see that there's a forest background. You can see that there's a little piggy I'm using the arrow keys, left arrow and right arrow, to run around. And you can see, ooh, I just won. I didn't even know that I won. I didn't pay attention. And you can see that there's words and there's coins. There's a bazillion things going on here. So this project is huge. This is like a week-long job project, right? So don't think that coding is easy. Don't think that you're going to just knock this out in no time. Pause the video as you need. Come back to it. Take multiple days to do this, right? All right, so all this code, you can see that we're going to write all of this. It looks like it's like 80 plus lines of code. What we're going to do is we're going to try to not look at the solution and try to just go into the student code area. And you can see that we've got all these images already prepared for you with the word thief, I think, misspelled, right? Is that misspelling of thief? Thief. Yeah, Thief. Maybe I'll actually fix that before you get it. And so let's go in and see what code I've given you. So the code I've given you is significantly less. To run this one, just right click in this area and hit run. And you'll notice that it gives you a white box, which is pretty sweet. So I've got this nice white box. So this nice white box, where does it come from? It comes from the library Play. So Replit Play, Replit is the company who made it. The module, the library is called Play. And they have documentation. If you want to go see their documentation, you can. Do a search for Replit Play library. And their library has documentation. It's all in here. And so you're simultaneously learning two things. You're simultaneously learning about Python and this library. The purpose of this library is to let you write in code things that are very Scratch-like. You can see that they're no longer maintaining this library. It hasn't been updated in years, but it's still a very good library that you can do a lot of things with. So in their example, they kind of give you an example here. You can see that the first line has to be this word import play. That means use my library. And then the bottom line always has to be play.startProgram. And so those things, this one and this one, I've given you. Random is a different library. We'll use random later in this lecture. And so I just kind of put that one in there. And then I put some example syntax for you in here. It's probably very confusing at first. I put this in here just to kind of show you a little bit of Python code. Def means I am defining a function. So a function is something that I can call that has code in it. You'll also see that things that are inside of a function are indented over an exact number of spaces. This is super important. Python cares about spaces. So if I did a different number of spaces, it could get messed up, right? And so right now there's exactly 4 spaces in front of this word pass. That's one of the things that confuses people the most, right? So for example, here you go, I'm just going to break it. If I indent this line 1, 2, 3, 4 and run it again, nothing happens, right? It's because since this is now indented, it's like inside this other function. And so the only reason I mention that is just because these spaces of how far something is indented is part of the programming language. So I'm going to put it back and you can see that it runs again. So we're going to slowly be learning about Python. Notice I didn't even talk about this line. This is like a little too advanced for what we're learning today. Just accept that code is there. So let's do some things and then you'll start to feel a little better. So let's add our own code. So our own code that we want to write, just go ahead and type this with me. Type the word play dot. Play is their library. Their library has a lot of things it can do, which are fun. And so we're going to be learning Python by using their library. One thing that their library can do is it can get images onto the screen. So for me, the top one is this. It says a little f, meaning it's a function. There's this function, new image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new image. My PyCharm, and maybe yours is as well, is trying to help me. It says, hey, this image, it can have as many as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different things that define this image. What I'm going to do is the simplest thing possible. I'm going to give it just one thing, which is the file name, and let all the defaults happen for all the others. And so it's hard to understand everything when you're just getting started. So I am perfectly happy if you can just successfully get it to run. So the file that I want to bring in is the file forest.png. And so you can see that that's a file over here. Now forest.png, I've put in double quotes. And so that makes it a different color, made it green, and it makes it a string. Again, a little bit at a time, right? So if I were to run this program, you can see that my code is now very different. So you can see that now I've got a forest, which is kind of a cool thing. I've actually taken this image from my computer and I've put it on the screen. So pretty exciting start. And this is why libraries are nice, because you can actually get a significant amount of stuff to happen with just one line of code, which is neat. Let's play with a couple of these other properties. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to actually put on at least one other property. Let's put on the property for the size. The size I'm going to make be super small, 30%. By the way, PyCharm in this current version did something that kind of surprised me. It wrote this word image, colon. This word image is not really there. Like if I were to move my cursor, I've got an E, I've got a parenthesis, and then I've got this double quote. It's just telling me that this is the image, what's called argument to the function. All right, let's see what a size of 30 does to it. So size of 30 makes it super small, right? Other properties that you could add, let's add an X of 100. And so if I ran it again, oh, by the way, you'll notice that the first time you run it, you have to use this right-click run trick. That's required for the first time you run it. But if you want to just run it again, there is actually a play button up here. There's also a shortcut key. It looks like for me on my Mac, it looks like it's probably Option R. I never used this, and I never use it because it didn't work. All right, I'm going to stop with that. All right, so if I run it with an X of 100, you can see that it moved over to the right. If I make it 200, it moves over to the right even more. So these properties, these arguments that you can pass in this function, they affect the image, right? And so you can see how they do it. Just to play with another one, see if you can get it to move up. See if you can get it to move up here. So if X is left and right, if X is horizontal, if you want to move it in the if you want to move it up, what property do you think you might want to set? So see if you can pause the video, see if you can do that. All right, so I almost said it whenever I was talking there, but Y is the thing you want. So if we did like a Y of 200, then you can see that it moves way high. So it's got in the middle is 0, 0, and then the Y would be way up here. By the way, if you don't put these arguments, it defaults to the middle of the screen, right? So it defaults to 0, 0. Now I actually want this forest to take up the whole thing. So 30 is not quite big enough. Let's try 50. 50 is almost big enough. Still pretty far to go, I guess. 80. 80 is almost big enough. Let's do 85. That'll probably be good enough. Cool. So it takes up the whole screen. Now I could have left it off entirely. It would have done 100, which would have just zoomed in more. I'm going to leave this as 85, but I'll show you. So if I put it at 85, I can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4 of these white flowers. If I had taken it off, you can leave it on. You don't just watch this part. You can see that now it kind of crops off one of those flowers. So I'm going to put it back. All right. So we're just kind of learning slowly but surely. What we're doing here, just to kind of share, is it's making what's called a sprite. So a sprite is a visible graphical thing, and it has an image, and you can see it. And then it's also got properties that you can set on, like its size, its X, its Y, and things like that. Let's make another sprite. So this next sprite we're going to make, I'm going to actually save a reference to it called hero. I'm going to type it, and then we're going to talk about it. So this is my piggy.png. All right, so my piggy. Whoa, piggy a little big. Right? So my goal, if you remember the solution, is to have a smaller piggy on the screen. And so this piggy, what I want to do is I want to make his size much smaller. I'm going to make his size be 20. So that'll make him quite a bit smaller. Cool. And this piggy, I want to put his little feet at the bottom of the screen. And so I'm going to take the Y and move it down, maybe like negative 200. Cool, that's pretty close. Maybe negative 230. Oh, that looks pretty good. So his little feet are right on the screen. By the way, you'll notice that we have two images for the piggy. We've got one that's just called plain old piggy, and then another one that's called piggy facing right. You can probably guess what piggy facing right is going to do. Doesn't matter which one you leave it as. I'm just going to leave it to the one that I typed there. Cool. So now I've got a piggy, and I named him Hero. I called him Hero just because you don't have to use the piggy. If you don't like the piggy, there's other images in here. There's one called Pony, which I think is fun. The pony, if you use the pony, you might need a different size, though, because 20 on the pony is quite small. So pick the image that you would like, and then we'll keep moving from there. So the main thing that you can see that's different about my line 4 versus my line 6, in one case, I make the sprite, but I don't keep what's called a reference to it. I don't have any way to change it later. But the hero, we actually do have a reference to. And so since we have a reference to it, then we can change it later in our code, which would be kind of fun. So we'll be able to do things like this. We'll be able to say, hero, your X is now 200, right? And so now you can see how we can move the hero throughout the game. Or we can say, you know, hero, your image is now a different image, or something like that. And so this reference to it is going to be powerful, that we can use later. I think what I want to do is I'm going to do something here. I'm going to hit Control / and comment that out. My colors will be different than your colors. My color of commenting out makes it bright pink. If you care, if you want yours to look like mine, your screen does not need to look like mine. There's like a whole phase of like appearance and like font colors and things like that. Looks like I'm using the Darkula theme right now. I don't actually like the Darkula theme. Oh yeah, see, isn't that better? The IntelliJ light theme. Haha, I'm going to go with the light theme. Oh, but now I've lost my pretty colors. You can definitely spend too much time inside the font settings. I could use a custom font. I could use color schemes, all kinds of things, right? Yeah. All right, I'm just going to let it go. I'll tell you what, I'm going to switch my theme. I'm going to put into the light theme just because I actually do prefer the IntelliJ light theme. But you can use whatever you would like. Cool. So I think that's good enough. All right. I did kind of like my hot pink comments, but that's okay. All right. So let's do something. Let's do something in this loop forever area. What I want to do in this loop forever area is I would like to move the hero. Just to kind of share, if I said hero, make your x whatever it was before +1. I'm just curious if that would do anything fun. Yeah, so what he's doing right now is he's moonwalking. Oh yeah, oh yeah. And so you can see that this loop forever, and he's just going to keep on going, by the way. If I did -1, he'd go the other way. What this loop forever area is going to do is it's going to have code that runs like every couple of milliseconds, right? And so what we want to do is we don't want to always move left or always move right. What we want to do is we want to see if a key is being pressed. So we're going to write our first if statement, which is going to be fun. So we're going to say if play dot. Now play is the library we're using. It has a lot of built-in functions that make our life easier. The function that we're going to use is actually this one right here. Key is pressed. So if the key left arrow is pressed, and you can just say if left is pressed, or just in case people are left-handed, or if the A key is pressed, then and only then do I want the hero to change its X position. So hero X is equal to whatever it was before minus, I'm going to say 10. And so now it's going to forever be watching for these keys. By the way, you can see PyCharm did something sneaky to me again there. It put in this like word star keys. That's fine. I'll just ignore it. And so if I run it now it doesn't moonwalk by itself. But if I hit the left key, you can see it goes over to the left, which is cool. If I have a right key, it doesn't do anything. By the way, A should also move it over. And so this is, for people that are right-handed and for people that are left-handed. Other things that I want to improve, I'd like to be able to go the other way. You'll discover, by the way, I type super fast. Just pause whenever you want to pause me. That's the beauty of videos, right? The beauty of code is that if you want to do a very similar task, you can actually copy that. I use Control-C to copy it. And then you can paste it down below. Hopefully you've gotten good at copy-paste in the time you've worked with computers. And I want to make, if I press the right arrow key, or for left-handed people that would be the D. So left-handed people like to use WASD. That's just how they roll. And if that happens, I want to add 10. Now he will kind of moonwalk right now, but that's okay. So now if I press the left arrow, he travels to the left. And if I press the right arrow, he travels to the right. I think it's kind of weird whenever he goes to the right for him to not be facing that way. People don't walk backwards. So I'm going to do one additional thing. I'm going to say hero.image. And I'm going to change his image to the piggy facing right image. This is going to cause an issue, but I'll let you just kind of walk into it. So now if I go left, it's going good. And then if I switch and go right, you can see that he switches direction. Now, what's the problem? Well, the problem is that if you hit left arrow, now he's moonwalking to the left. So you've actually got to kind of plan ahead a little better. And so this way, we're just going to do piggy. Why I called one piggy facing right and I called the other just plain old piggy, I'm not sure. I just did. Cool. So I can run that, and now I can do left arrow and right arrow, and everything's fine. Great. Another thing that I would like to do is this area does loop forever. That's a true statement, but this is actually not a very good name. And so I'm going to call this control the hero. Now, I've been asking you to follow along with me blind, and by the way, that doesn't change the code at all. It still works just the same. I've been asking you to blindly follow along with me, which is good. You got to start somewhere, right? But I do occasionally want to try to say a couple things to help your understanding. So this thing right here, def control hero, this is a function. Now, normally in code, if you make a function, it's a bunch of code it doesn't do anything unless you call it. That's where this little tricky nonsense comes in. This is telling the play library, you can see it's this classic @play, dot. It's telling it to repeat this code forever. So you're actually telling the play library, you take care of calling this function. And I want you to call it, I want you to keep on calling it forever, right? And so just call it and then do some other stuff and then call it again, do some other stuff. And so that's why we're able to make a function, which is probably pretty new to you, which has code in it, but not call it. By the way, the thing students do wrong is the number of spaces here has to be very specific, so make sure you get all the spaces and things like that correct. All right, let's do some more stuff. We've got a hero. Let's make a coin. By the way, I'm going to delete this line right there. Eventually, we're going to make a lot of coins, but before we can make a lot of coins, let's just make one coin. Let's make a single penny. Cool. So if I run this, it has a nice penny inside there. Good luck sticking that penny into the coin bank. So let's go ahead and make the penny a little bit smaller. I think that I'm going to make him like 35 is what I picked for mine. So size equals 35. Cool. So that looks like it might fit into the slot. Almost. Close enough. And then what I want this penny to do is I want this penny to move automatically. So the piggy moves with the arrows, but I want this penny to like fall, right? I also want it to start at the top. I can do this in either order. I think I'm going to do the falling stuff first. So in the same way that I controlled the hero, I'm going to do a similar thing here for the coin. And so I think what I'll do is I'll just make it in a separate area. You could copy this, but I'm just going to type it again. So I'm going to say, hey, play, I've got another function. I'm going to call this one, I don't know, move coins. I guess I'm going to call it S with like coins. And what I want to do here is I want to take the coin and I want to take the Y, whatever it was, and make it a little bit less. I think I did mine at a speed of 4. So it's called move coins, plural, because I'm planning to eventually have lots of coins. But right now it's just taking my one coin and moving it. So great, looks like it's going pretty good. So I run it again. And it falls kind of from the middle on down. I'd like for it to start at the top. So to make it start at the top, I can set the Y equal to 400. That's the top. By the way, you can put these in any order. You can say size or Y, any order. You can see that one time I said size and then Y, and then the other time I said Y and then high. It doesn't matter. Cool. And so now you can see it starts from the top, which is pretty sweet. It always comes right down the middle, which is kind of too bad. It kind of goes right into the piggy there. I would like for the X to be rather random. So this word random that I just said, you can see that we've actually kind of prepared a random library. I'm going to make the X, instead of the X being like a fixed number, I'm going to use a function inside the random library. So I say random dot because I want to use one of their functions. They've got a function called randint that I want to use. The way randint works is that you give it a range. So you say, how big do you want the range to be? The range that I want to be, I'll just use -300 up to +300. So this looks a little confusing, but you can see instead of the X being just a single number like 5 or 10 or something like that, I'm saying, hey, make the X be random anywhere from -300 up to +300. So I ran it that time. You can see it landed right around my tail. Run it again. You can see actually it landed pretty close to my tail. It moved a little. Run it again. Please be more different. There it went basically right into my belly. Run it again. Man, it seems to like to always be in that range. I would have expected it to be a much bigger range. There we go. Finally got one to be a little different. Hopefully yours is not always just, there we go, not always just landing on your tail. Cool, so this is a single coin, which is good. It's always a penny, and it does fall. But my goal is I said I wanted coins, plural. this is going to be fun. This is going to be interesting. This step is going to take us a little while. Instead of one coin, I want to make a whole bunch of them. In coding, it's what's called a list. And so I'm going to name this list something. Maybe I'll call it falling coins. By the way, this line right here I'm going to comment out because I don't want a single coin. I want a bunch of coins. I called it falling coins, honestly, just so it would be 2 words, because I wanted to show you how Python names things. They use all lowercase, so you notice that every letter is a lowercase letter. And wherever there would be a space, you're not allowed to type the space character in variable names. It has to be this underscore, which is kind of an interesting thing. So falling coins is going to need a bunch of coins. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make a function to generate coins. It's going to be kind of fun. So I'm going to make a function, def, generate coin. Again, I'm fully aware that I'm going quite quick, but it's okay to not understand everything right off. I feel like I've said that too many times. But we have to start somewhere. And so we're going to start off just by writing some code, and then we'll try to internalize it once we get some of those work. The hardest part for you is just trying to fix your typos. So you've got to look really carefully about how your code is different than my code. Just to share one thing you can do if you are really struggling is you can go look at the solution. So I'll just kind of put the solution up over here, and you can compare like your code to the solution, and you can try to find the right section in the solution, and then try to figure out how it's different. Hopefully the things that I'm doing are very similar to the solution. They're probably just a little bit different just because every time I write code they're a little different, but you can see that we're getting ready to make this generate coin function here. So you could cheat and kind of copy ahead if you wanted, but I'm going to try not to do that. I like to do it a little bit at a time just because it gives us a chance to kind of talk about it, right? So to generate a coin, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take this coin from up here. I'm going to cut it with Control X, and I'm going to paste it right into here. All right, so this coin is currently always a penny. I'll work on fixing that eventually, but right now it's always a penny. And what I want to do is I want to stick it into this list. So every time I generate a coin, I stick it into this list. The way you stick it into a list is there's a function called append. Append like means to add on to the end. So every time I call this function, and I actually will just call it right now. So I'll say generate coin, generate coin, generate coin. So I called it 3 times. And so what that'll do is that will actually make 3 coins. And then I want those coins to fall. So I've made coin, coin, coin. And so right now, this coin, this down here, it moved to single coin. What I want to do is I want to loop over every coin in this list and make each one fall. So I'll just kind of show you the code. So we're going to say for coin in falling coins, make the Y drop down. So much stuff going on in this. This program is too big for like your first Python, but that's okay. So here's what I did. I took the array falling coins, and I looped over every single coin, and I used a syntax that says for coin in falling coins with a colon over here. And then every single one of those coins, I'm going to make its Y drop by 4. So if I run it again now, you can see that now I have 3 pennies. Run it again, you can see that I got 3 pennies in different places. Run it a final time here, you can see that I got 3 pennies in different places. Cool, so hopefully you're able, if this was a live lecture, we'd be coming around like a ton and looking at these things. Great, and so the thing that I want to change next is instead of just generating 3 coins, I would like to continually crank out coins, like 1 every second, just make a new coin.